Hi, my name is Yin Gao and welcome to Dr. Gao's classroom. I'm a professional philosopher and I love classical Chinese poetry. I have been translating classical Chinese poetry with a colleague of mine for the last few years, so I would love to share my knowledge on the subject with you. Your enjoyment is my command. For those who follow my channel, I would like to apologize for not uploading videos during the last 2 weeks. My daughter came home from another city where she attends university, so I spent quite a bit of time with her. I also spent quite a bit of time thinking about expanding the topic of the channel. I have been saying that I would also cover topics on philosophical and medical literatures. I have researched for one topic, that is, how to enjoy life like a Taoist master. I shall upload that one in 2 weeks' time. You guys can let me know how you like it then. Let's go back to today's video. Today's video is about Mulan or the Ballad of Mulan. This is the poem the 2 Disney movies Mulan are based on. Disney certainly changed the story quite a bit from this original poem, but some of the changes were already made during the 14th centuries since the Ballad of Mulan was first recorded. The Ballad of Mulan is quite different from all the other poems I have talked about so far. It is a folk song collected by Yuefu, or the Bureau of Music, during the South and North dynasty between 420 AD to 589 AD, and no author was recorded. The poem tells a story of a young woman took her father's place to join the army and became a national hero. The legend of Mulan has been updated many times during the following 1500 years and became a culture icon to represent female power and ambition in China. Since its adaptation into Disney movies, Mulan also became an inspiration for girls around the world. Although Disney movie gave Mulan a national and a personal identity, as well as quite a bit of historical and cultural context, one still can ask many questions, such as who Mulan really was. Was she Chinese? Which wars was she involved? Who was she fighting against? Are the Disney movies' portrayal of Mulan historically and culturally accurate? I could only address some of these questions very briefly in the 2 videos I made. I need to say that I'm not a historian and I could not guarantee what I said in my videos is historically and culturally accurate. However, I would do my best to be as accurately as possible with the materials I have access to, which is quite a lot. Of course, my best source is still the poem. Since the poem is quite long, and I also would like to add the historical and cultural context when explaining the poem, I'm going to make 2 videos to translate and analyze the poem. The first video will only translate the poem to the point when Mulan came back from the front as a hero. The second video will cover the part when Mulan was awarded an audience with Emperor and her homecoming. If you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos on classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and medical literature. If you like the content of these videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on this subject. If you would like to read original text, please contact me. Here is my email address. Now, let me first give you a bit of historical background of Mulan or the Ballad of Mulan. Mulan was first recorded by a monk named Shi Zhijiang in a document in the title of 古今乐录, or the record of music of past and present from Chenguo, or the state of Chen, during the South and North dynasties. This was the kingdom conquered by the evil emperor of Sui dynasty Yang I talked about in my other videos. If you would like to know about him, please check out the 2 videos on Yang Guang. 古今月录 did not record who was the author either. The legend of Mulan has been revised and reimagined many times over the centuries. It was adapted into plays and drama many times. A Ming Dynasty scholar named Xu Wei was one of the playwrights who adapted the legend into a play and gave the family the surname of Hua or flower. Xu Wei was so considerate that he also gave each of the Hua family member a name. So Mulan's father got the name of Hua Hu, her younger brother Hua Xiong, her older sister Hua Mulian. Since 古今月录 was compiled in 568 AD, so the legend of Mulan must be composed before 568, which means if there was a historical figure called Mulan, she must have lived before the 6th century AD. The poem also mentioned several locations where the war took place, such as Heishan, or the Black Mountain, or Yanshan, the Swallow Mountain. According to some Chinese historians, these locations were the places many battles were fought between the forces of Northern Wei or Bei Wei against Rouran, a tribal people from further north. Now, let me give you a bit of historical background of the conflicts between Bei Wei or the North Wei and Rouran. Both Bei Wei and Rouran were descendants of the Mongolian tribes who invaded China when Jin Chao or the Jin dynasty collapsed in 304 AD. Between 304 and 317 AD, the different Mongolian tribes and different Chinese warlords fought for the primacy over the territory of the Jin dynasty. At one time, there were 16 kingdoms in existence. The Northern Wei was established in 386 among several other Mongolian kingdoms. It took their kings over 50 years to conquer the other northern kingdoms, including Rouran, and united the northern part of China under its regime. According to Chinese historians, the war mentioned in the Ballad of Mulan were led by the third king of Wei, Tuo Ba Tao, who was addressed as Ke Han, a title of nomadic tribal people addressed their chieftain. The poem also mentioned that Mulan's father's name was on the military order list, so that he had an obligation to fight for the Han. All these facts indicate that Mulan was not Chinese, but Mongolian. However, the poem also states that she lived an agrarian lifestyle like a Chinese girl. This signifies huge social changes happening during her lifetime. While the Han of Wei conquering all the other Mongolian kingdoms who occupied the other part of the northern China, they were also implementing policies to accommodating the traditions of the Chinese people they conquered. According to historical record, this transformation also began with the third Ke Han of the northern Wei, Tuo Ba Tao. Well, Tuo Ba Tao was not the wise old emperor portrayed in the Disney movies Mulan. When he assumed the throne in 423, he was only 15 years old. The chieftain of Rouran thought this was a good opportunity to invade the northern Wei, so their army attacked the northern border of the Wei in 425 AD. However, Tuo Ba Tao was not your average teenager. He not only defeated Rouran's military advances, but also conquered all the other kingdoms in the northern China. By 449 AD, he completely destroyed Rouran and driven its chieftain to flee from its own territory in the north. The battle mentioned in the Ballad of Mulan followed exactly the same route of the battle against Rouran led by Tuo Batao between 426 to 429 AD. Under the leadership of Tuo Batao, the northern Wei doubled its territory during his 30 years of reign. We can imagine that during the 12 years Mulan spent in the army, he was part of the many military campaigns led by Tuo Batao. Once Tuo Batao took the throne, he also initiated many political and social changes to adapt and accommodate to the culture of the newly conquered Chinese population. These changes also aligned quite well with the social changes mentioned in the poem. I will talk about these changes when I translate the relevant part of the poem. In conclusion, it is very likely Mulan was a Mongolian girl who lived during the 5th century AD during the reign of Tuo Batao. The wars fought by Mulan were probably the wars happened between 425 to 439 AD against Rouran led by Tuo Batao. Now, let's look at the poem. The poem is neatly organized into different sections with distinctively different themes. So I'm going to divide the first half of the poem into 4 parts. The poem starts by setting the scene when Mulan stopped her weaving machine and sighed. 唧唧复唧唧，木兰当户织。不闻机杼声，惟闻女叹息。唧唧 is the sound made by the loom. 复 means again, and 唧唧 again is the sound. Mulan, of course, it's Mulan. Dang means in front or by. Hu means window. Zhi means wave. Bu means not. Wen means hear. Ji zhu means loom. Sheng means sound. Wei means only. Wen again means hear. Nü means daughter or girl. But here it is clear it refers to Mulan. So my colleague and I translate it to different noun according to the context. Here we just translated it as Mulan. 叹息 means sigh. So the 4 lines read, clicking and whirring, Mulan waves by the window. The noise of the loom cannot be heard, only the sound of Mulan sighing. The second part tells what she was sighing about. Here it is in Chinese. 问女何所思？问女何所忆？女亦无所思，女亦无所忆。昨夜见军帖，可汗大点兵。军书12卷，卷卷有爷名。阿爷无大儿，木兰无长兄。愿为市鞍马，从此替爷征。The poet imagined a conversation with Mulan. The conversation is structured quite neatly. The first 2 lines are the same except the last character. So are the last 2 lines. This is quite common in the folk songs collected by the Han Dynasty Music Bureau. 问女何所思？问女何所忆？女亦无所思，女亦无所忆。问 means ask. 女 we translated as you. 何 means what. 所 means about. 思 means think. And when again means ask. 女 means you. 何 means what. 所 means about. And 意 means moreover. 女 we translate as I because this is the response from Mulan. 意 means just. 无 means without. 所 again means about. 思 means think. And 女 again means I. 意 again means just. 无 means without. 所 means about. 意 means meal over. So the 4 lines read, Can I ask you what you're thinking about? Can I ask you what you're mulling over? I'm not thinking about anything. I'm mulling over nothing. Although Mulan said she was not thinking about anything, she responded answering those questions. 昨夜见津帖，可汗大点兵。军书12卷，卷卷有爷名。昨夜 means last night. 见 means see. 津帖 means army order. 可汗 means Han. 大 means great. 点兵 means military master. 军书 also means army order. 12 means 12. 卷 means scroll. 卷卷 means scroll by scroll. 有 means have. 爷 means father. 名 means name. So the 4 lines read, Last night I saw the army order, the Han's great military master. The army orders were in 12 scrolls. In every scroll was my father's name. It is interesting that here the ruler was addressed as Han or Kehan. This is not a title for Chinese emperor, who should be addressed as Tianzi or the son of heaven. When the poem addressed ruler as Kehan, it indicated that Mulan was not Chinese. Instead, she was from one of the Mongolian tribes. However, instead of managing a herd of cattle, she was weaving clothes, perhaps linen or silk, which was the practice of a Chinese agrarian society at the time. This indicates that her tribe had adopted the Chinese agrarian production practice as well as the social practice. That is, the man attended the crop while the woman weaves clothes for the family. This did not happen until the Wei conquered the northern part of China, set up their capital in Pingcheng in 398 AD, which is located in today's Shanxi province. It is from the end of the 4th century, the kingdom of Wei started their transformation from the wandering nomadic tribal people to the agrarian society settled down along the plains by the Yellow River. However, the transformation takes time. Some of the traditions continued, such as the title of the ruler, the way the military force operates, as indicated in the last line. The last line says Mulan's father's name is on every scroll of the military order. This was a particular practice among the Mongolian tribes, where the officers were registered in the army order and their positions were inheritable. So if the officers were too old to fight, their sons would be drafted to replace them. 阿爷无大儿，木兰无长兄。愿为市鞍马，从此替爷征。阿爷 means dad. 无 means does not have. 大 means grown up. 儿 means son. Mulan, of course, it's Mulan. 无 also means does not have. 长兄 means older brother. 市 means market in modern Chinese. However, it originally means to buy or sell. Here it means to buy. An means saddle. Ma means horse. Chong means from. Ci means here or now. Apparently here it refers to time rather than place, so we translate it as now. Ti means take someone's place. Ye means father. Zheng means expedition. So the 4 lines read, Dad does not have a grown-up son. Mulan doesn't have an older brother. I hope to buy a saddle and a horse, and from now on take my father's place in the expedition. The third part tells how Mulan prepared for her journey and the first two battles she participated. It is quite interesting. There is no description about the battles, only how she missed her parents. Now let me read it in Chinese. 东市买骏马，西市买鞍鞯，南市买辔头，北市买长鞭。旦辞爷娘去，暮宿黄河边。不闻爷娘唤女声，但闻黄河流水鸣溅溅。旦辞黄河去，暮至黑山头。不闻爷娘唤女声，但闻燕山胡骑鸣啾啾。Now let's look at the first four lines. 东市买骏马，西市买鞍鞯，南市买辔头，北市买长鞭。东 means east, 市 means market, 买 means buy, 骏马 means charter, 西 means west, 市 means market, 买 means buy, 鞍鞯 means saddle, 南 means south, 市 means market, 买 means buy, 辔头 means bridle, 北 means north, 市 means market, 买 means buy, 长 means long, 鞭 means whip. So the four lines read, in the eastern market, I bought a charger. In the western market, I bought a saddle and a blanket. In the southern market, I bought a bridle. In the northern market, I bought a long whip. These four lines summarizes the preparation Mulan made before her departure. Many Chinese historians noticed that Mulan had to buy a horse and accessories, which should be readily available if her family lived in a nomadic lifestyle. Yet, the fact that she has to buy these things meant that her family had become farmers for quite some time. 旦辞爷娘去，暮宿黄河边。不闻爷娘唤女声，但闻黄河流水鸣溅溅。旦 means dawn, 辞 means take leave, 爷 means father, 娘 means mother, 去 means leave, 暮 means dusk, 宿 means take a lodge or lodge at, 黄河 means yellow river, 边 means beside, 不 means not, 闻 means hear, 爷 means father, 娘 means mother, 唤 means call, 女 means daughter, 声 means sound, 旦 means but, 闻 means hear, 黄河 means yellow river, 流 means flow, 水 means water, 鸣 means bird song, but here it just means the water is making a sound. 溅溅 means splash, but also means the sound of splashing. So the four lines read, At dawn I took my leave of mother and father. At dusk I lodged on the bank of the Yellow River. I didn't hear the sound of my parents calling out to me, but I heard the waters of the Yellow River splashing by. 旦辞黄河去，暮至黑山头。不闻爷娘唤女声，但闻燕山胡骑鸣啾啾。旦 means dawn, 辞 means take leave, 黄河 means yellow river, 去 means leave, 暮 means dusk, zhi means arrive at. Heisan was the name of a mountain located in today's Inner Mongolia. Tou means summit. Bu means not. Wen means here. Ye means father. Niang means mother. Huan means call. Nu means daughter. Seng means sound. Dan means but. Wen means here. Yan means swallow. San means mountain. Yansan is the name of a mountain located in today's Republic of Mongolia. Hu means hun. Ji means cavalry. Ming means bird song, but again here means making the sound of. And jiu jiu is the sound made by the horse, so we translate as neigh. So the 4 lines read, at dawn I took my leave of the Yellow River. At dusk I arrived at the summit of Black Mountain. I didn't hear the sound of my parent calling out to me, but I heard the neighing of the Hun cavalry on Mount Swallow. Apparently, Mulan's company were marching from the north of the Yellow River to the north, following the path as shown in this map. First, they marched to the Black Mountain located at today's Inner Mongolia, and then to the Mount Swallow. In 429, Tuobatao followed exactly this path and defeated Rouran first at the Black Mountain and then chasing the Rouran all the way to the Swallow Mountain, which were the nature protecting barrier for their capital further to the north, as shown by the red star. The following part is the last part I'm going to talk about today. There is no detailed account of any battle in this part either. It only presents a few snapshots of the 10 years Mulan spent in the army. However, these few snapshots showed how brutal the war was. Now, let me read this part in Chinese. 万里赴戎机，关山度若飞。朔气传金柝，寒光照铁衣。将军百战死，壮士十年归。The first couplets present a vivid picture how her company marched towards the battlefield. 万里赴戎机，关山度若飞。万 means 10,000. 里 means miles. 赴 means go to somewhere knowing that there is a huge risk. It is often in connection with a dire situation, as in the phrase of 赴国难 or defend one's country, 奔赴战场 to force march to the battlefield. Here we translate it as force march. 戎 means military. 机 means opportunity. 戎机 means opportunity to defeat the enemy in a war. So we translated it as the front. 关 means fortress. 山 means mountain. 度 means cross. 若 means like. 飞 literally means fly. However, the character here is used to describe how fast the army was marching through the difficult terrains. So we translated it as like wind. So the 2 lines read, we force marched 10,000 miles to the front. We crossed the mountains and fortresses like the wind. 朔气传金柝，寒光照铁衣。朔 often refers to the first night of the lunar month, but it also refers to the north. So 朔气 here can either refers to the cold night air or the cold air of the north. Either way, it was certainly very cold. 传 means propagate or transmit. Here it means sounds propagate through the night air. 金 means metal. 柝 is the wok army used for cooking during expedition. It was also used as the clapper during the night. So this is how it looked like. So we just translate it as a clapper. Han means cold. Guang means light. Han Guang refers to the moonlight, since the moonlight is often a cool white light comparing to the warm golden light of the sun. During the cold night, the white moonlight seems also very cold. So the phrase definitely refers to the moonlight. 照 means shine. 铁 means iron. 衣 means clothes or armor. 铁衣 literally means iron clothes, but here it apparently refers to the iron armor. So the two lines read, In the cold night air came the sound of the watchman's clapper. The moon shined bright on our iron armor. 将军百战死，壮士十年归。将军 means general. 百 means 100. 战 means battle. 死 means die. 壮 means strong. 士 means gentleman or scholar. However, when these two characters are used together, the phrase is often used to refer someone who is physically strong and with a higher social status than a commoner. So 壮士 is often interchangeable with 侠士 or warrior. So we translate the phrase as warrior. Here it quite specifically refers to Mulan. 10 means 10. 年 means year. 归 means return home. So the two lines read, The generals fought 100 battles, then died. The warrior returned home after 10 years. In the whole poem, this is the only couplet that tells us how brutal the war was. Even the generals who fought hundreds of battles died during the war. We can only imagine how many soldiers died. Yet, Mulan came back victoriously as a hero. In just 2 lines, we learned what an excellent general Mulan had become. The poem starts by setting the scene of Mulan operating a weaving machine by the window, a very common scene at her village, yet it says a lot. Although Mulan was not Chinese, she and her fellow villagers had adopted the agrarian lifestyle of the Chinese for quite some time. Then the scene suddenly changed, with a sigh that she was worrying about her father being called upon for military service. Even though it took her some time to decide what to do, she made up her mind quite quickly and jumped into actions. She prepared for joining the army, set off to the Yellow River, force marched to the battlefield, and 10 years later, she came back as a war hero. Note that there is no mentioning of her disguise as a man. That fact we would have to wait until the very end of the poem to be revealed. However, even with this oversimplified account of her expedition, we still get the full picture of how cruel the war was and how brave and excellent Mulan as a soldier and a general. The second half of the poem tells us how impressed the emperor was by Mulan's military achievements and wanted to reward her. Well, I don't want to spoil the fun for the second video. You will get the rest of the story in my next video. If you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos on classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and medical literature. If you like the content of my videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer online one-to-one lessons on these topics. If you are interested in reading the classics on this topic with me, please contact me by my email. Otherwise, thank you for viewing my video and I'll see you next time.